Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and today finally I've got you guys the first spawn guide for Black Ops 6 Protocol. Now, if you guys don't know, some of the maps, well, most of the maps only have 4 hardpoints this year. Only one of them has 5, which is actually Rewind, I believe. But most of them do have 4, so I do believe the maps are a little bit more balanced. But nonetheless, let's jump straight into it. If you're new to the channel, first of all, hit that sub button. You're gonna get all the spawn guides, every single update. Whenever there's a major update that spawns, I'm gonna update the videos and everything like that. We're gonna do control strategies, we're gonna do search strategies, we're gonna do hardpoint strategies, obviously. We're gonna do setups and everything like that. Later on to the years, we're gonna talk about specific teams, pro team setups, and how they're playing, what they can do better. Overall, it's gonna be a very learningful year of Call of Duty, again, as usual on this channel. That's what I like to do. I like to break down shit, I like strategy, I like all that kind of stuff. So enjoy the ride here for it, and if this helps you out, let me know in the comments down below if you're confused or any questions. Other than that, let's jump straight into it. So before we actually jump into the hardpoint itself, let's just talk about some fundamentals of hardpoint. So the first thing what happens when a game starts off is you have something called a break off. So your break off strategy is just basically what each player does to ensure some map control or just how they start the game in general. So for example, on Protocol, I believe, well, not believe, but I know that the good side is actually on this side with the helicopter. And there'll be multiple reasons for that, which I will get into later. But whichever side you're on, if you're on the good side, you already start with a lot of map control plus the objective, so you can set the game pace. If you're spawning on the bad side, you want to focus on winning your early gunfights to gain that map control. On defense, you know, if you're holding the hard point plus the spawns, you're about at a 60-40 advantage because the enemies have to push to you. So it's pretty easy. If you have defense, there's 3 or 5 lanes to cover. Just win your gunfights and trades. Play the important kills. Take map control after getting kills, meaning after you have 4 dead, 2 players will push up for a little bit more map control and you play a little bit of a wider setup. If you need to rotate or flip spawns, you know, that's when you would do it after a 4 dead, or of course on new hardpoints, stay tight, play the trades, then widen out your setup. Okay, let's talk about offense. If the enemies win the rotation, you want to maintain your map position and coordinate a spread break. A spread break is basically, for example, you're hitting from multiple angles as possible, right? Like however many angles you can hit from. For example, that P4, right? You can hit from here, you can hit from here. If you're on blue team, you could even rotate all the way around and try to hit from the other side as well, right? So spread out, and that's how you would attempt the break after you throw in your nades and utilities to weaken out the enemies, obviously to offset the trophies as well. Let's say you guys aren't successful on the first one. On your second attempt, you would either go for a 3-1 push or a 2-2 push, or even a full push, all 4 mans with nades, just focusing on trades. Obviously, you know, watch the mini map, ensure your teammates are actually close by to get the trades. 2 attempts is usually what you have. You don't really have too much after that, especially on some of these maps. When you have money hills, you would pretty much attempt it once and then just set up for the money hill. If you want to fight the scrap, you want to rotate staggeredly, meaning one player rotates at 35 to 30, second player at 25 to 20, the last 2 at 15 seconds, right? Team rotations, let's say you have bad spawns and your team needs to rotate, you would all push together. 2 to 3 would rotate 30-20 seconds, and then 1 to 2 would hold out the exit. For example, let's say you're fighting here on P4 and you just can't get in. Well, we know where P1 is next, so you would 2 to 3 of you guys would have already rotated towards P1, and then 1 or 2 of you guys would be just holding the exit, trying to gun down as many of them from reaching point 1. So every time you spawn up, you want to kind of figure out what your objective is, pretty much. Is it to rotate? Is it to help coordinate a break? Is it to just, you know, like, are you setting up? Are you trying to get a break off? Or are you just rotating for the next one, right? That is pretty much what you want to think about every time you play. That is like a pure fundamental thing for a COD player. Each person, basically, a core principle. Let's jump straight into the quadrant rule. So the quadrant rule is, the map is roughly, this is how spawns roughly work. It's broken down into 4 quadrants. So whichever quadrant you spawn in, the enemies will spawn in the opposite quadrant. For example, if you're spawning here, the enemies are spawning either in a V shape, right? So either they're going to spawn here or they're going to spawn here. Obviously, this is way too close, so they're more than likely spawning on this side, right? If you're spawning on this side, obviously, you know, it's the V shape again. That's how I remember it. They're either spawning on this side or this side. Well, obviously this side is a little too close, so probably on this side. Simple and easy way to figure out you know, the spawns if you can't remember them. The quadrant. Now this 50-50 rule, or the fifth halfway line rule, pretty much says that on every single point there is a rough or an imagined halfway line, right? And basically what that line says is that if 2 of my teammates are in front of that line, it is a lot easier to either split spawns or flip spawns. So now I don't know if this is how Call of Duty worked before, but now they've actually introduced 3 spawn points roughly. What we're looking at is a primary, secondary. Of course, you remember that from Modern Warfare. If you were, you know, your primary were closer to the objective, your secondaries were a little further apart. You would spawn primary if you held the objective, you would spawn secondary if they held the objective, or if your primary was blocked due to someone being close by or whatever, right? That is how it worked. I don't know what the theory was behind it, why they made it, but like on paper, I can see why it makes sense. Like, it's kind of like a revenge spawn. That's at least how I thought of it. Like, the game's gonna give you one last chance to try to, you know, hit them again from the back. But in game, it's like super ass. It just does not play as well. So your revenge spawn is only active, I guess. It only works when your primary and your secondary are blocked, either because someone is looking at them or someone's pushed up to it. Only then will you get that revenge spawn, and usually the revenge spawns are like in such awkward places. I'll show you guys here. We'll jump straight into point 1 here, and this is what we're looking at here. Again, the good side is this red side. On your blue spawns, this is your primary, these are your secondaries, right? There's multiple in each, so there's like two here, 2 here. Then you have your revenge spawns all the way here, and it's like, okay, well, how can I make the enemies spawn in those revenge spawns, right? That clearly would be very, very effective. Having my the enemy team spawn all the way back here. Look how far they have to run, either to go inside or either to hit from here or go from here. Look how far. That's 10 seconds pretty much. If you are blocking the primaries and secondaries, right, the enemy team will spawn there. It's not gonna flip. Previously in Modern Warfare 3, if the primary and the secondary were blocked, it would flip, right? You would see a lot of flips. Now you'll get a lot of parallel spawns and a lot of split spawns. If the red team wants to block these, all they have to do is they have to push up to these barrels right here, this little area, have one of the players sit here watching this, and this blocks watching this. This blocks these primary and secondary spawns, making them spawn all the way in the revenge spawns, all the way in Narnia by the water here, which is crazy. In classic Call of Duties, there used to be a anchor roll. In recent Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3 pretty much, the anchor roll was not so much necessary, and I think it's because they had 2 spawn points. Now with the reintroduction of the third one, I believe it's a reintroduction at least, the anchor position is way more important. Now how the anchor position works is, this house is the anchor position for the red spawns. As long as one person is in this point, pretty much 100% of the time, your teammates will spawn on this side, on the close spawns. Unless specifically the closest are blocked because the enemy has pushed up to this point. So for the blue team, if they push up to this line right here roughly, this is going to block the primary and this secondary, so pretty much making them spawn in revenge spawns. But as long as one player isn't here in the anchor position, they're always going to spawn in this spawn point, basically, in any of these, but they're always going to be here. And more than likely, it's usually the primary spawn, the closest spawn to the point. Again, I'm going to say you spawn primary when you control the objective. You spawn secondary when the enemy controls the objective. You spawn your revenge spawns when your primary and secondary blocked. Another crucial thing a lot of people don't realize is whenever pro players play, they call out their spawns. So for example, if someone spawns all the way out here, what does that tell me? Well, that tells me they're starting to push up to this area right here. Because this way they're blocking the primary and secondaries. That's making me spawn here. Now I have a little bit of a painting of the minimap, and it shows me what's going on. Next, I can just look at where my teammates are and figure out even more what's going on, or listen to call outs, and it paints a full picture. So it's not really a crucial step, calling out your spawns, knowing why you're spawning where, but once you learn why you're spawning where, it really illuminates the whole map. At least for me, it really makes me like, oh shit, all right, so they're already pushed up to here. Now obviously if they're pushed up to here, what are their power positions? They're probably behind this box, or they're probably playing this heady here, or maybe even laying down in this corner just waiting for the people to run around, right? Whatever the case may be. So it gives you things to think about, and a little bit of an area to be aware of. P2, again, you know, sometimes you have those revenge spawns, sometimes you don't really have them. Like on P2, there's not really a revenge spawn, you just have your primary and secondaries on the good side. Again, I do believe this is the good side. Just simply because, again, here, like, you can block this primary and secondary, and then you're still spawning all the way by the water. Here, your close spawn is just right here in front of them. So, you know, again, the anchor position still exists here. As long as someone is in this house, you know, you'll always keep these spawns. But this your primaries here, your secondaries here, your revenge is here. If you want to block the primary and secondaries on P2 and have them spawn in the revenge spawns, red team, you roughly need to just push up to this area, this little, you know, open area right here, just before the drop down right here is where you're looking at. This is going to block these two, and then it'll make them spawn there. And then again, when you're spawned up there, what do you likely want to do? You want to push points, so you're just running up, and it kind of becomes like a death funnel. So that's P2 there. P3, you're looking at a little bit more complicated, in my opinion. Nothing crazy, it's just it's a little bit different just because the anchor position has moved. Obviously, just because P3 is in the anchor position. So now your anchor position is just in this orange area. Anywhere here, as long as you have a teammate there, you're going to keep these spawns. Again, your primaries are here and your secondary is just there. Same thing here, primaries, secondaries, and you have that revenge spawn all the way back here. Again, you know, it makes no sense why the revenge spawn is all the way outside, but it is something that players want to take advantage of. Again, red team, if you push up to about roughly here, or anywhere pretty much here, like this heady, these headies, this what do you call this thing again? The gun thingy, I forget what it's called. You know, roughly there, that's gonna block the primaries, secondaries. I mean, you can see you have a clear line of sight, right? Obviously, it's gonna block them. So you're making them spawn out all the way there, and then again, what are they gonna do? You know, there's only so much they can fucking do. Either run all the way around or jump down, whatever. So on paper, like, you know, it makes sense. 3 spawn points just in case the first primary are blocked. You can still get that third one. But then again, like, you have maps like this where they're huge and you're just playing, like, you know, it just turns into fucking spawn trapping them. P1, P4 are right in the middle. P3 is here, P2 is here. The points themselves are balanced. You know, I'm not, like I said, like, revenge spawns are pretty much ruining this right now. P4, quite simple. You're not really, you know, nothing complicated. The anchor positions still exist, right? If you want to spawn here, stay in this house. If you want to spawn here, stay in this house, which I obviously don't recommend at all. Obviously the point is underneath though, so, you know, there's no point actually being in the anchor positions just because you're fighting from below the whole time. The main idea here is if you wanna block them again here, you want them to spawn all the way in the revenge spawns, just stay in that elevator room. Just don't go close to the elevator, but just stay in that elevator hallway. Have one person just lay down, watch the elevator inside from it, and that'll pretty much block your primary secondaries, and that's gonna run you around to your anchor spawn. If you're on the blue side and you want to block the red spawn, so they're spawning all the way down here, same thing, just go to the stairwells, just get up on top of the stairwells and watch that doorway, and that will block those primaries and secondaries, and you'll be spawning in this second revenge spawn all the way down here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, remember the anchor positions. That's the pretty much that's like the new big thing. The anchor positions are a lot more important now. Having someone there will pretty much guarantee you your spawns every single time. Again, remember your your primary spawns happen if you control the objective. Your secondary spawns happen if the enemy controls the objective, and your revenge spawns happen if your primary and secondary are blocked, which does paint a picture for you, or at least should. Now you know where the rough spawns are and how they're going to be blocked. If you're spawning here, now you know, well, there's probably someone around here, and they're probably playing the point, with a really good setup. So, other than that, now you guys understand this map a little better. If you do have any questions, the anchor position wins no matter what. So as long as someone is anchoring, your halfway rule, you could be a little bit more flexible with it. That's why in this game, hard anchors are going to be a very, very crucial rule, especially on this map. Not even on this map, but especially in like the maps like Skyline or Vault, where the spawns are very, very split and very flippable. Understanding where those anchor positions is going to be very, very crucial. So that is something you want to look into. If you're trying to flip spawns and you can't really figure out why, that's probably it. Okay, other than that, if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time.